Welcome, everybody, to our Ranch AGFC. This electronic church pub doors are open. Come on in, grab your favorite snack, your Bible, your favorite drink. Got the Folgers in the B cup, ready to start this up. We got one person in the back, in the chat. How are you doing? Today we're going to continue our Bible journey into Numbers. We're going to start in chapter 5 here in just a little bit. So who might my friend here in the back be? Come on into the chat and let me know who you are, and so I can welcome you in. And today is Saturday, January 28th already. The month's already gone by so quickly, and we are heading into February already. Wow. Well, I'm feeling blessed today that I didn't have what I was suffering from last night, some kind of stomach problem. But I feel much better today, and I'm glad so I can be here with you all. No further ado, let me bring back my friend, our friend and yours, Mystic 22222. Mystic, are you there?
Yeah, and back in anonymous
Anonymous mode.
mode. Why did I have a block right there?
I don't know. But that's okay. We got you audio anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know what
your
happened
video
to my
will,
camera.
well, your camera will pop in. It always does.
It did until last week. It just never did, and I haven't done anything to it since.
So how you doing, my friend?
Oh, it's been one of those weeks where I haven't had a minute, so of course I'm not particularly prepared. I have a couple of headlines that we should hit briefly.
Okay.
Well, the first one is that the state of Georgia just declared state of emergency an hour ago. Oh, how about that? Look at that.
There's your camera.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have 3 cities under attack again, and unlike last year, they didn't wait until summer.
Okay. Let's see.
So I'm giving you a link to the Next News Network report from an hour ago.
All right.
And there's a couple things about this. Well, first is that, of course, there's the announcement itself. Georgia is under an official state of emergency. And just like last year, the news media is again describing the protest, but fiery, but mostly peaceful protests.
Okay. Let me pull this up real quick. Hold on.
Yes.
Hold on. Let me get this pulled up real quick. Let me see where I'm at. Hold on. Okay. Let me get it shared. Oh, hold on. Let me do this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Get back here. We'll get that shared here.
I need to say a couple things about it real quick.
Okay.
Okay, so hold that for a moment. So the first thing is, the news media and doing what they always do, solidly showing they're on the side of destroying the country. Secondly, that they're starting in midwinter instead of waiting until summer. That's unusual. I mean, even for communists. That's very unusual. In Russia, that was understandable because they had 30, 40 degree below zero weather, so they'd have to wait for things to warm up.
Right.
Thirdly, the Trump weighed in on it. He's saber rattling, saying all the right things, of course.
Oh.
And fourthly, you'll notice that there is a marquee, a scrolling marquee along the bottom of this report. Yeah. And it's describing a hilarious situation, probably will find its way to YouTube, where a man's car was being hijacked, being, well, I guess hijacked is the right word. She was breaking into his car to steal it. And he was driving a forklift, so he just wandered over there and picked his car up.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, so that's what's scrolling on the marquee down below. So you can go ahead and play that.
All right, Let's go ahead and do that then.
President Trump has reacted immediately to the state of emergency in Atlanta, Georgia. In response to recent violent riots there, Governor Kemp activated 1,000 troops and National Guard ahead of even more anticipated violence. In a must-see video, President Trump has emerged to call for an end to the violent riots with a must-see video declaration that everyone in America needs to see right now. I'm Gary Franchi. I want you to keep up with the latest news. Tap subscribe and enable your notifications. Today, in response to the violent protests in Atlanta, Georgia, Governor Bryan Kemp declared a state of emergency and activated 1,000 National Guard troops. President Trump has reacted swiftly to the situation by releasing a video condemning the violence, reminding us of the leader that he is. Now, here's the must-see video of his full remarks. And after watching it, do your part and share this report with everyone in your social networks. Take a look.
The violent and vicious riots in Atlanta carried out by the anti-police radical left anarchists are an abomination, and it has to stop. These extremists smashed windows, set fire to a police cruiser, destroyed businesses, laid waste to downtown Atlanta, and were even found carrying explosives. They wanted to kill people. They didn't quite have that opportunity, but they would have, and they wouldn't have lost any sleep over it. Unfortunately, nothing will happen to most of these rioters because of the Marxist prosecutors who have seized control of the justice system in Atlanta, just like they are in New York, just like they have in other places. As always, it's hardworking, law-abiding citizens of all backgrounds who pay the price for this radical left extremism, sponsored by George Soros, it seems. The rioters who attack our wonderful police officers and destroy so many lives must be punished to the fullest extent of the law. And when I'm president again, if Marxist prosecutors betray their oaths and refuse to protect our citizens, I will not hesitate to send in federal law enforcement to restore peace and public safety. We will restore law and order in America. We've never seen anything like is happening right now. Crime is up by 50, 60, 70, and 100% in these radical left, Democrat-run cities. We can't let it happen. Our country is going to hell. We're going to make America great again. Thank you.
Amen. Trump's message follows the state of emergency that was declared on Thursday by Georgia Governor Bryan Kemp in response to the violent protests over the death of environmental activist Manuel Tehran in Atlanta. For the next 15 days, Kemp can call up to 1,000 members of the National Guard to help subdue riots and unlawful assemblies. As of yet, no mobilization has taken place. That's according to the governor's spokesperson. 3 businesses were damaged by protesters who set fire to a police cruiser on Saturday night. A total of 6 individuals, none of whom lived in Atlanta, were arrested. None of whom were living in Atlanta, residents there. They were arrested and explosives were seized. It'll be hard for the mainstream media to ignore this reality now after gaslighting America with their reporting. As you recall, David Peisner suggested on CNN that the use of the term violent to describe the riots might hurt the terrorists' feelings. Watch.
David, are you surprised to see the violence that we have seen there tonight? What do you think?
Well, I think that there's a real blurring of the lines in the use of the word violence. is property destruction violence? To some people, it certainly is. But this idea that breaking windows or other acts of property destruction are the same as actual.
Are you hearing the same echo I'm hearing?
No, I'm glitching, but my computer's overloaded.
Okay. Yeah, I'm got a bad echo coming back from my side.
I haven't had any echoes
Okay.
today or last week.
Violence against humans it's kind of a dangerous and slippery concept. And I mean, look, I don't think this is a smart move. I don't think it's a productive move from the standpoint of the protesters. But as even the chief himself said, this is a small group. This is also within this Defend the Forest movement. There are no leaders, so people go off and do their own things. That doesn't just make them justifiable, but I do think that you keep using these words violent, and it gives the impression. I mean, the only violence or the only acts of violence against people that I saw were actually police tackling protesters.
And over on Fox, their reporter pushed a peaceful protest narrative while a police car was engulfed in flames behind him. Watch.
And of course, he's saying that because of what channel were we? They were.
Channel what?
CNN, right? They were CNN reporting that, right?
I didn't catch that part. It doesn't matter. They're all, if you have you seen the videos where somebody has compiled 50 radio stations or 50 TV stations all in word for word the exact same script?
Yes.
And all from different networks. So it doesn't matter who is reporting it. It's all state-run media. Now notice, okay, he says that there are no leaders there. Each one is doing their own thing. Well, of course, that's an obvious, blatant lie, because as we saw last summer and the summer before that, there's a somewhat beefy middle-aged woman handler who's giving orders behind them. We saw that in the riots. We saw them in Chad during the no-go zone or something free zone. So yeah, there's just an absolute blatant lie. But they're just repeating the same phrases that were prepared a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Okay, let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
If you take a look over here, if you pan over, I want to show you. This is what they were handing out at that protest. So it was a largely peaceful protest where they just wanted what they're calling justice so sorry.
Despite the gaslighting from the media, no one
He's
can ignore the
holding
state
that-
of emergency in Atlanta, Georgia. President Trump acted immediately and responding to the.
He's holding what?
There's a little bit missing there, but he was holding the paper up so that it would cover the fully engulfed patrol car.
Oh yeah.
But even with that, you could see the patrol car and an adjacent building up in flames. One other thing about your echo, Bryan, check and make sure that you don't have a tab up running your YouTube channel at the same time that you're running the Restream tab.
Nope.
That might be where your echo coming from.
Oh wait a minute. No, I do. Well, I got the YouTube tab open, so I can play the video.
That's your problem. When you're running on Restream, you need to close the YouTube channel, because the Restream channel you're hearing instantly, and then the YouTube channel you're hearing again a couple seconds later.
I see.
That was the problem that I had when I first started having echo problems.
Okay.
You have to close the YouTube tab, and that echo will go away.
But to close the YouTube tab, I won't be able to play the video.
You should be broadcasting on Restream, studio.restream.io.
I am. That's what I. Yeah, that's what I am broadcasting to.
Okay, so what I'm saying is the YouTube channel, the YouTube tab that has your program still going, that's the one you would need to close.
Okay, hold on.
Not the Fox News tab, your tab, the Our Ranch YouTube tab.
If I close that though, I lose the video. Now, see, I still got an echo.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but okay. So, how many tabs do you have up?
Just the one, the restream.
That's just the one?
Yep.
You're doing better than me. I generally have 40 to 50 tabs up at once.
Oh no, I got the one tab open. And that's broadcasting live through Restream.
Okay, so the other tab was just the YouTube playing the Fox report.
Correct.
That part should be fine. That part should be fine because that's not playing the program. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, that's
let me get back
Sure.
to it. Hold on.
Sure. So again, you'll notice that the flames are behind the document he's holding up in front of the camera.
Yeah, I'll find that back. Let me get back to where we were here.
So in this one, he kind of reverses it. He says, "Yeah, there's a lot of fire and flames and things and destruction here, but it's mostly peaceful." And what the media is trying to say is, a vast conflagration of fire burning a city down is not violent. Only hurting people is violence. Of course, they're not counting the people they literally shot, killed, beat up. They're not counting any of that as violence.
Okay, I found it. But now let me add that and reshare it. Yeah, you can see where he's holding it up. It's covering up the police car being engulfed in flames.
Yep, and an adjacent building.
This is what they were handing out at the protest. So it was a largely peaceful protest where they just wanted what they're calling justice so sorry.
Despite the gaslighting from the media, no one can ignore the state of emergency in Atlanta, Georgia. President Trump acted immediately when responding to the recent violent riots, and Governor Kemp has now activated 1,000 troops in the National Guard. This resurgence of violence has sparked even more passion within President Trump to let us know his stance as a leader and condemn such behavior. His video makes it clear that we all have a role in doing our part to come together to make a real difference. And let's bring back peace to Atlanta by sharing this report right now. Let's continue the conversation in the comments below. For the Next News Network, I'm Gary Franchi. Thank you for watching that report. Have you started to notice that wrinkles finally?
Thank you for watching. You started to notice the wrinkles finally.
Okay.
Yeah, with Fox. Here's the problem I have with Fox, and actually almost all of the alternative media. Yeah, we need to share this, and that will bring the peace back. We've been talking about it for over 3 years now, and the answer to stopping the violence is more talk. Make sure that we wake up more people and let everybody know what's going on. yeah, that we have long since
Well,
passed the point of
hopefully,
no return where we can actually. We can't
hopefully
actually.
those
I
that
can't
get to
see any
view
way.
this will see it and share it.
And then what? We'll continue sharing it all summer.
Yeah, but what else can we do?
Well, I can't talk about it on YouTube, but even if we
No.
did, the universal surveillance system would ensure that we would get swept up, not them.
Right. And hopefully that doesn't get me another strike. It shouldn't. It's a news media outlet.
Well, besides that, I'm thrall and declaring what? Surrender, defeat. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna block us for that.
No. So what's next on the agenda?
What's next is trust the science.
Trusting the science.
Yep, this is my answer. Trust the science. I will just say very briefly what they are calling the science is the priest caste of science, which is all political. It has absolutely nothing to do with the scientific method, which is what I work and live by.
Right.
I actually use science in my job and in my work and the things that I do and even the way that I live. Is the actual scientific method, which is basically to determine what works and what doesn't. You compare a number of different options and then see how they happen. Compare all my alternatives to the original.
Okay.
We're on here.
Back into Restream. Back in the studio. And get rid of that. Share that. Now this isn't something that's going to get me a strike, is it?
Well, it's just all about the science.
Okay. Well, because I've already got one strike from misinformation. They called it mismedical information. And I don't know where that came from.
We still have doctors today who believe in phlebotomy.
Oh, yeah.
The way to help somebody who's dying of a disease is to drain their blood to the point of death to get rid of poisonous disease.
Okay, let's watch it.
Uh-huh.
But I finally put two and two together regarding this ancient god known as Thoth and what we're seeing in Antarctica. Now, recently, I've been using this map that shows this, what was believed to be a mythical area of the world known as Magellanica.
Go 12.
Now, I've also made the allegation that I believe the name is being mispronounced, that it doesn't really have anything to do with Magellan the explorer.
What was that,
Bryan?
Mystic?
I forgot.
Yes.
I forgot to say we need to go in 12 minutes.
12 minutes.
Yeah. And just so that we know, Florida, a retired psychological war ops officer who is now trying to help people in America to learn the tricks of the trade of mind control and mass manipulation.
I see. Okay, we're 12 minutes in. Here we go.
Yep, that's it.
And one final proof for that is this. This should change everyone's mind about science. This fish is called the coelacanth. And science had absolutely ruled 100% that it died out 65 million years ago.
Wow.
until some guy dredged one up in his net in 1938. Now, a lot of people think, well, that's a one-off. No, it's not a one-off. If that's the case, if they're wrong about this one, and they provably are, they're wrong about all of them because they're using the same methodology. The same methodology that said the coelacanth was extinct says all of the other ancient reptiles, ancient fish, ancient dinosaurs, whatever, that they're all extinct. Well, if the methodology is wrong for this one, it's wrong for all of them.
Right.
The same thing that allowed this one to live could have allowed all of these other animals to still be alive. The rule that they were using to decide whether something could possibly be alive or not, that rule is wrong. And the time that has passed is also wrong. And they try to explain this by some ridiculous thing about how could it possibly not have evolved. This also rules out this idea of evolution. But they don't want to admit this. They don't want to come forth and say, you know, we need to rethink science. We need to redo all of the techniques and the methods that we're using because they're all wrong. Something like this could absolutely exist. And on a final note, for me, this is all I need to see to show me proof of civilization. And I found this location over a year ago. This is a carved entrance into the side of a mountain. It's not an accident.
In Antarctica.
There's a perfect, nice, guaranteed, walkway here. And it is, and I'll measure it for you. I know it looks small, but it's the size of a 2-lane road, a major 2-lane road. The opening is 23 feet across. If you really tried, you could actually get 3 cars wide. 3 cars wide. And the distance from here to the back of about 60 feet. So 24 feet wide, 60 feet long, and I'll ballpark the height here. It looks like about 45 feet tall. And just all those numbers, just basically divide by 3 to get meters. This is the kind of stuff that proves to me, beyond shadow of a doubt, there's life down there. They've been living under the ice for a long time. They are in our history books, just described in different ways. Antarctica was not always frozen. In fact, it was not frozen at all as little as 400 years ago, because map makers told us so. And our own eyes tell us so. So I guess I will just leave it there. One last thing I wanted to show. The image of Thoth. Let's see if I can get back to that real quick. All right. The top of his head right here, do you see this half moon? Or I guess I should say sliver moon thing. And a lot of the images of him have him or her or whatever wearing this. Let me show you something in Antarctica, and we showed it not very long ago. There it is, right there. So, anyway, 16 minutes, 17 minutes. I'll leave it there. I know that last part was kind of a rant, but we just have to keep an open mind, guys. We really do. We have to not take everything that science says as guaranteed fact, because they've been proven wrong so many times. And I'll leave it there.
I'm a bit confused
Yes.
how this so-called ancient god and Antarctica, as this so-called ancient god Thoth, is Egyptian.
Yeah.
Correct?
Well, yes, he was. He wasn't Egyptian. He was one of the influences that made Egyptians the style that they had.
Well, but wasn't he an Egyptian god?
Yes.
Okay. And how does that tie into Antarctica and this fish that's supposed to have died out 35 million years ago?
Well, he's been making a lot of points about Antarctica. One of them is what I knew about Antarctica was that back in the 60s, they were creating settlements. The Navy has a very large settlement um, called oh, great. I've got a block on it.
They have a
Anyway,
they
there's
have
a
a
major.
they have a seed depository there, right?
No, that's the North Pole.
Oh,
That's
that's in
in
the North
Antarctica.
Pole. Okay.
Yep. No, the South Pole, they built many countries built military and science research bases,
Okay.
and they're still operating today. You could get a job there if you got the endurance, or you got the right knowledge, or the right backing. Other than that, tourism is strictly to a few dozen people on one ship at a time, and you have to take a bag with you, and they follow you around, making sure you pick up every little thing that you drop. That you're supposed to leave essentially no footprints for the environment. Antarctica is a vast continent, as big as the entire United States, maybe a little bigger than that. It is completely untapped, but they do know, because of surveys, that there's large deposits of oil under it. There's a substantial amount of geothermal energy underneath, and part of the problem with that is that it's melting the underside of the sea ice. And the biggest danger is the Ross ice shelf sits on top of one of these warm spots. And every now and then it looks like it's going to start slipping. And if that thing were to slide, it's about 1/3 of the continent's ice. If that were to slide down into the ocean, it would create a 1,000-foot tidal wave all around the world. There's only about 30 feet from the sea level to the top of the dunes along Longoria that separates the Pacific Ocean from the interior of the continent, where the interior of the continent used to be a vast inland sea, almost really an archipelago of islands. Describes what the North American continent used to be, which is why you have the Great Salt Lake Flats, the salt flats that used to be the bottom of an ocean. That sand dune used to be about something on the order of 130 feet. And one day, okay, I guess people have been trying to raise a flag about it for some time before authorities seriously and went and measured it and discovered it was down to 30 feet. And that's because they're pumping the oil out from underneath Southern California. It's the law stating that for every barrel of oil pumped out of the ground, you have to pump a gallon of seawater back. And so since then, the sand, this little more than a sand dune, is the thing holding back the Pacific. So if you had anything over 50 feet in a tidal wave, that would wash away that separation, and we would lose more than half the country to the inland sea. So that's one of many problems. Yes, so that's one of many problems facing us. That's not even included in the 20 or so ways that they plan to end civilization. That's one of the natural ones. So I knew that they had this there, and in fact, I had actually spent 10 years writing a novel, a 3-part trilogy novel that I was also just starting to turn into a screenplay. It was actually a screenplay to begin with, but I was starting to actually use my Amiga computer to start doing CGI to create the movie myself.
Okay.
And well, it's a long story short. I lost my job at that point, was in survival mode from then on. And the main purpose of this story I was writing of Antarctica was to show that the world what was going to happen in the next 30 years. I had always been able to see disaster coming 10 years down the road. But when I was writing this novel, I was down to 7 years. In other words, I thought it would happen in 10 years. It was happening in only 7. I needed to write this novel ahead of time. I needed to make a screenplay and put it out to the world in the form of an adventure, so that when the things I was predicting started to come to pass, they would realize this is not entertainment. This is reality. This is an actual prediction. And included in that story was a lot of instructions about what to do about it. So it was called Birth of a Notion. It's kind of a spoof of Birth of a Nation, another great play and movie 100 years ago. And this was predicting that Antarctica would once again become a great prison colony, because it would be the last place on Earth that people could be constrained. And during a time of rampant global terrorism, this is long before there was any global terrorism, and at the same time, there were going to be some secret military bases down there, doing things that are best left alone, things that was made illegal, like, for instance, making weaponized diseases that had been banned from doing it in the world. They would do things like that down there, and robot super soldiers and some things like that they would be developing in secret. So it was about a rebellion in the prison camp, colony, big colony, and they would take it over. They would win their freedom. And the ironic thing is that the prisoners in Antarctica, although it was hopeless for them to ever escape, they discovered that they were far more free as prisoners in a prison colony than they had ever been at home as supposedly free citizens.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
And
problem was I never got to finish the story or the movie. And within the next 10 years, everything that I had predicted to happen over 30 years had already happened. And so I'd lost the initiative, and I could no longer, anything that I wrote at that point would just be out of the headlines, just like normal movies.
Yeah.
Well,
writing's a hard thing.
Yeah. So what Florida Maquis has been saying is that not only is everything you've been told a lie about the history, and I know, for instance, that Christopher Columbus had a map that included the detailed mountain ranges in Antarctica, which would not be possible if it was covered by ice. But I just assumed that he had a much more ancient map, because he was a Freemason, basically. Well, Florida Maquis is saying that those military bases are down there now, and more than that, I don't know. More than that, they are these are major cities, just like they have underground cities across the continents. They have major underground cities down there, and furthermore, that they are dealing with extraterrestrial.
You're talking in Antarctica.
Antarctica, the South Pole, yes. The North Pole doesn't have a continent. It doesn't have any land. All of that is ice. Apart from, you've got Alaska and China and Russia meet up there, but the actual pole is over the ocean and on the ice cap. Antarctica actually has a large continent underneath the glaciers. So he talks on a great many topics. That's only one of them. And so what he's showing you is there is signs of current activity. That that doorway he was showing, he's saying that there are people living under there now. Now, he didn't say in this case whether they were human, extraterrestrial, or whatever they were, but he also goes into considerable detail, saying that as recent as 1,000 years ago, there were sailing ships that had gone to Antarctica, and when it was not icebound, and furthermore that what's that?
There was a famous Admiral Byrd.
Yes.
That claims that he traveled to Antarctica and actually flew into the center, into a hatch, or into the earth.
Yes.
His plane was pulled into the earth, into an underground alien civilization.
Yes, and that's what Florida talks about a great deal. That's what Toph is all about. One of the things he is saying, and one of the things that today's prophets are saying, and one of the things that the underground, the Mafia underground are all saying is that the gods are coming back. The Egyptian gods, the Greek gods, the Mesopotamian gods, they're all coming back. Well, that fits with the end times scenario, when the demons are being released.
Yes.
Now, to be clear, the tinfoil hat theories are about the earth being hollow. That is not possible. Okay. And just speaking as a scientist, the reason you cannot have a hollow earth is, number one, if it was hollow, you wouldn't have much gravity.
We wouldn't have a molten iron core.
Well, yeah, we can actually see that acoustically. We use acoustics from earthquake pulses. We use holography. When they set off 2 or 3 nuclear blasts at once, it creates a holographic picture. It's all done by sonar. It's just a massive amount of sonar. Okay. In fact, there is a technology that I don't have time to describe. I was actually considering someday using it in robotics because it essentially gives you a 3-dimensional hologram of the entire environment in miniature. It literally turns a sonic hologram into a visual hologram. But I can't really get into that right now. But they use computer technology. Yeah, and they use computer-aided tomography, like your CAT scan, the same technology, to see inside the Earth when there's an acoustic wave, such as an earthquake. So we can see the structure. We actually have pictures of the structure of the inside of the Earth, and there is the solid outside crust. There's a plastic zone around the Mohorovic layer, and then you get the liquid layer, and then as you go deeper into the planet, it starts getting thicker again, and then there is a solid core of nickel and iron, and some nuclear isotopes.
I see. Wow, this is all fascinating.
So that's one way that we know it's not hollow, and another reason is because if it was hollow, you wouldn't have gravity. I mean, it would. You know, I'm 240 pounds, and I would be weighing about 2.4 pounds if the Earth was hollow.
We know that there are, how would you say, bubbles or caverns. There are huge cavernous body, caverns inside the Earth.
Yeah, they're called caves.
Caves and caverns, and there's another word, and it's slipping my mind, for these huge areas of space that are within the Earth that have how would you say tunnels running to them.
Mm-hmm.
which are
Well, they're
made
called
made
lava
by
tubes.
made by lava tubes. Yeah, made by lava and
The
whatnot.
amazing
But
thing is, they found lava tubes on both Mars and the Moon.
right, right,
And so not only does that speak to a volcanic past on both of those bodies, but more importantly, those are the key to human habitation. Unless we could develop an extremely efficient nuclear power source that we could literally live on for years at a time while we're doing our digging. We don't have technology to drill tunnels, and that's the only place that you could possibly live on the Moon, and just about on Mars too, because you can't have a flimsy structure that can literally fall apart in a sandstorm or bake out in the sun, or if you have an accident and there's an explosion, it would blow all your air out. You just can't have that. So you'd have to live underground on both of those bodies. And the lava tubes give a freebie, because all we have to do is go deep inside the lava tube, turn around, and put a seal on the front of it, and then you could start pressurizing it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and on the Moon, okay, the Moon is the same distances from the sun that we are. So there, on the surface of the Moon, it's well above 212 degrees Fahrenheit in sunlight, which is well above boiling point of water. And then within minutes after the sun goes down, you're at hundreds of degrees below zero, because you're facing outer space, which is an average of 3 degrees above absolute zero.
Your atmosphere
deep
on
inside,
the Moon, your surface atmospheres on the Moon and on Mars are just so uninhabitable.
There's no actual atmosphere on the Moon. There is gas, but it's solar wind blowing over the surface.
Okay. You're right. Correct. Correct.
And actually, at the north and south pole of the Moon, there's a ring of craters that never see the sun, and so they are always cold. And the solar wind that blows across the top of it has water molecules in it. The sun is always blowing hydrogen, helium, and oxygen, and the hydrogen and oxygen will recombine, become water. And as soon as it gets inside the crater, it freezes in there, and it stays there. So there's actually large deposits of water at the poles. But when you go down these tunnels, you only have to go down about 30 feet, and the crust will average out the temperature of the sun to about the same as it is on Earth. And so then all you really need to do is paint the inside of the tunnels with a sealant to keep the air in, and block off the front of the tunnel, and you can start pressurizing it. And the same on Mars. Now, Mars does have a tiny, tiny atmosphere, but it's so small that you'd have to be breathing pure oxygen at that pressure to be able to go outside without a pressure suit. So you could go out during the heat of the summer on Mars. You could actually go out in short sleeves because the temperature gets up to about 60 or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. But you'd have to be breathing pure oxygen because the pressure is so low. And you'd probably get a bit of a sunburn pretty quick, because there's no ozone to protect you from the ultraviolet, and there's a fair amount of cosmic radiation too.
Yeah, I don't think we have a sunscreen strong enough.
Oh, there is. It's that white stuff that looks so ugly. It's also the only sunscreen that doesn't cause cancer. It's not the sun that causes cancer. Not even the sunburn causes cancer. It's the sunscreen we put on.
Yeah. Well, I was just looking at the clock. We're almost an hour into this, and we haven't even got into the Bible reading. So let's
go ahead and start.
Let's go ahead and we're going to start in Numbers chapter 5.
Okay.
Where we left off.
And I'm going to take a very quick. And I'll take a quick break.
All right.
Chapter 5. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Command the children of Israel that they put out of the camp every leper, and every one that hath an issue, And whosoever is defiled by the dead, both male and female, shall he put out. Without the camp shall he put them, that they defile not their camps, in the midst whereof I dwell. And the children of Israel did so, and put them out without the camp. As the Lord spake unto Moses, so did the children of Israel. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, when a man or woman shall commit any sin that men commit, to do a trespass against the Lord, and that person be guilty, then they shall confess their sin which they have done, and he shall recompense his trespass with the principal thereof, and add unto it the fifth part thereof, and give it unto him against whom he hath trespassed. But if the man have no kinsman to recompense the trespass unto, let the trespass be recompensed unto the Lord, even to the priest, beside the ram of atonement, whereby an atonement shall be made for him. And every offering of all the holy things of the children of Israel, which they bring unto the priest, shall be his. And every man's hallowed things shall be his. Whatsoever any man giveth to the priest, it shall be his. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, If any man's wife go aside, and commit a trespass against him, and a man lie with her carnally, and it be hid from the eyes of her husband, and be kept close, and she be defiled, and there be no witness against her, neither she be taken with the manner, and the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be defiled, or if the spirit of jealousy come upon him, and he be jealous of his wife, and she be not defiled, then shall the man bring his wife unto the priest, and he shall bring her offering for her, the 10th part of an ephah of barley meal. He shall pour no oil upon it, nor put frankincense thereon, for it is an offering of jealousy, an offering of memorial, bringing iniquity to remembrance. And the priest shall bring her near, and set her before the Lord. And the priest shall take holy water in an earthen vessel, and of the dust that is in the floor of the tabernacle the priest shall take, and put it into the water. And the priest shall set the woman before the Lord, and uncover the woman's head, and put the offering of memorial in her hands, which is the jealousy offering. And the priest shall have in his hand the bitter water that causeth the curse. And the priest shall charge her by an oath, and say unto the woman, If no man have lain with thee, and if thou hast not gone aside to uncleanness with another instead of thy husband, be thou free from this bitter water that causeth the curse. But if thou hast gone aside to another instead of thy husband, and if thou be defiled, and some man have lain with thee beside thine husband, then the priest shall charge the woman with an oath of cursing, and the priest shall say unto the woman, The Lord make thee a curse, and an oath among thy people, when the Lord doth make thy thigh to rot, and thy belly to swell. And this water that causeth the curse shall go into thy bowels, to make thy belly to swell, and thy thigh to rot. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. And the priest shall write these curses in a book, and he shall blot them out with the bitter water. And he shall cause the woman to drink the bitter water that causeth the curse, and the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her, and become bitter. Then the priest shall take the jealousy offering out of the woman's hand, and shall wave the offering before the Lord, and offer it upon the altar. And the priest shall take a handful of the offering, even the memorial thereof, and burn it upon the altar, and afterward shall cause the woman to drink the water. And when he hath made her to drink the water, then it shall come to pass that if she be defiled, and have done trespass against her husband, that the water that causeth the curse shall enter into her, and become bitter, and her belly shall swell, and her thigh shall rot, and the woman shall be a curse among her people. And if the woman be not defiled, but be clean, then she shall be free, and shall conceive seed. This is the law of jealousies, when a wife goeth aside to another instead of her husband, and is defiled, or when the spirit of jealousy cometh upon him, and he be jealous over his wife, and shall set the woman before the Lord, and the priest shall execute upon her all this law. Then shall the man be guiltless from iniquity, and this woman shall bear her iniquity. Numbers chapter 6. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto the Lord, he shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar of wine, or vinegar of strong drink, neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes, or dried. All the days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. All the days of the vow of his separation there shall no razor come upon his head, until the days be fulfilled, in the which he separateth himself unto the Lord. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. All the days that he separateth himself unto the Lord, he shall come at no dead body. He shall not make himself unclean for his father, or for his mother, for his brother, or for his sister, when they die, because the consecration of his God is upon his head. All the days of his separation he is holy unto the Lord. And if any man die very suddenly by him, and he hath defiled the head of his consecration, then he shall shave his head in the day of his cleansing. On the 7th day shall he shave it. And on the 8th day he shall bring 2 turtles or 2 young pigeons to the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering, and make an atonement for him, for that he sinned by the dead, and shall hallow his head that same day. And he shall consecrate unto the Lord the days of his separation, and shall bring a lamb of the 1st year for a trespass offering. But the days that were before shall be lost, because his separation was defiled. And this is the law of the Nazarite, when the days of his separation are fulfilled. He shall be brought unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and he shall offer his offering unto the Lord, 1 he-lamb of the 1st year without blemish for a burnt offering, and 1 ewe-lamb of the 1st year without blemish for a sin offering, and 1 ram without blemish for peace offerings, and a basket of unleavened bread, cakes of fine flour mingled with oil, and wafers of unleavened bread anointed with oil, and their meat offering and their drink offerings. And the priest shall bring them before the Lord, and shall offer his sin offering and his burnt offering. And he shall offer the ram for a sacrifice of peace offerings unto the Lord, with the basket of unleavened bread. The priest shall offer also his meat offering and his drink offering. And the Nazarite shall shave the head of his separation at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall take the hair of the head of his separation, and put it in the fire, which is under the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And the priest shall take the sodden shoulder of the ram, and 1 unleavened cake out of the basket, and 1 unleavened wafer, and shall put them upon the hands of the Nazarite after the hair of his separation is shaven.
To clarify something for me, Mystic, when he mentions separation, the word separation, what is he referring to?
He's referring to the priests being separated from the rest of the population, so they're no longer being spiritually or ritually contaminated.
I see.
Going back to the very beginning briefly, there were 3 groups of people that were supposed to be expunged from the camp during the sin offering ceremonies.
Okay.
They have to. There's really 2 levels of separation into 3 camps. There were the priests, there were the common people, and then there were those who had to be outside of the perimetry because they were contaminated so badly. One of them, obviously, that they spent so much time on, of course, was someone who was either had committed a sin, especially adultery, or had merely been accused of adultery. And a large part of what you heard there was a kind of a test, because they had Yehovah himself there, and they had miracles happening all the time. So it wasn't simple biochemistry. When they were giving the woman this bitter herb drink to drink, I don't know that there was anything really special about the bitter herbs, but if she was guilty of adultery and had not confessed it, then it would make her, then she would become sick as a sign that she was guilty. Okay. The Puritans tried to repeat this act, but when they were hunting witches, well, actually before the Puritans, they were coming from Europe during the Spanish Inquisition, and they would test the witches. Basically, their method of it was, if she lived, then she was a witch and had to be put to death. But if she died, then she was innocent.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the devil's copy, the way of copying what they just described. So the second group that was mentioned were those who had issue. The word issue refers to anything that comes out, or especially comes out of the body. So they weren't talking about childbirth, although they do refer to children as being their issue. But in this particular case, they're talking about the woman's period. And that was considered, there was a very specific time during which she was considered to be impure, and then she would wash, and she was done, she would wash and come back and be pure again. But for the purpose of this ritual, this particular time of ritual, they had to live entirely outside the community.
Wow.
So that's what the issue refers to.
Okay.
And the priest shall wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. This is holy for the priest, with the wave breast and heave shoulder. And after that, the Nazarite may drink wine.
One moment.
Is the law of the Nazarite who hath vowed.
One more thing that I wanted to mention. They're referring to the Nazarite. Those are the people, those are the particular, let's say the, what's the word for it? The newly minted priests, or those who were going to be priests, the interns to the priesthood, lived in Nazareth. They practiced for years, being trained as priests, and living the life of a priest, even though they were not priests, but they were preparing, because the critical thing for a priest representing man before God was they had to do it without ever making a mistake. So they trained. It was the way they lived day and night for years in Nazareth, which is where Jesus grew up. He wasn't born there. He grew up there, and so it was the holiest of their towns. But by the time Jesus started his ministry, and people, who was he? Where was he from? They said, "This is the man from Nazareth." By that time, they were talking in astonishment, saying, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" Okay, we can continue.
Well, it's said that's why they called him a Nazarene, right?
Yes, times change.
And of his offering unto the Lord for his separation, beside that his hand shall get, according to the vow which he vowed, so he must do after the law of his separation. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, The Lord bless thee and keep thee. The Lord make his face shine upon thee, and be gracious unto thee. The Lord lift up his countenance upon thee, and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. Numbers chapter 7.
And this is a blessing that they say to this day.
This the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord
Yes, this is this.
Make his
They
face
say
shine
this
on you.
Yes.
They still say this.
Yes, the Jews say this to this day, at the beginning of an end of every Sabbath, just like we sit down and say grace. They sit down and grace.
I see. Okay.
On the day that Moses had fully set up the tabernacle and had anointed it, and sanctified it, and all the instruments thereof, both the altar and all the vessels thereof, and had anointed them and sanctified them, that the princes of Israel, heads of the house of their fathers, who were the princes of the tribes, and were over them that were numbered, offered. And they brought their offering before the Lord, 6 covered wagons, and 12 oxen, a wagon for 2 of the princes, and for each one an ox. And they brought them before the tabernacle. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take it of them, that they may be to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. And thou shalt give them unto the Levites, to every man according to his service. And Moses took the wagons and the oxen, and gave them unto the Levites. 2 wagons and 4 oxen he gave unto the sons of Gershon, according to their service. And 4 wagons and 8 oxen he gave unto the sons of Merari, according to their service, unto the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. But unto the sons of Kohath he gave none, because the service of the sanctuary belonging unto them was that they should bear upon their shoulders. And the princes offered for dedicating of the altar in the day that it was anointed. Even the princes offered their offering before the altar. And the Lord said unto Moses, They shall offer their offering, each prince on his day, for the dedicating of the altar. And he that offered his offering the first day was Nahshon, the son of Amminadab, of the tribe of Judah. And his offering was 1 silver charger, the weight thereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. Both of them were full of fine flour, mingled with oil, for a meat offering. 1 spoon of 10 shekels of gold, full of incense. 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year, for a burnt offering. 1 kid of the goats, for a sin offering. And for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Nahshon, the son of Amminadab. On the 2nd day, Nethaneel, the son of Zuar, prince of Issachar, did offer. He offered for his offering 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour, mingled with oil, for a meat offering. 1 spoon of gold of 10 shekels, full of incense. 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year, for a burnt offering. 1 kid of the goats, for a sin offering. And for sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Nethaneel, the son of Zuar. On the 3rd day,
with all these animals that they are offering as sacrifice, right?
Yes.
Now, are these animals consumed after? Are these animals actually consumed at all?
No, because that would be just exactly the same thing as the idolaters did when they sacrificed to their idols. They would sacrifice a portion and then they would eat the rest. And so, in order for the priests to eat, they had to get 10% of the livestock for their own use.
Okay.
When they were given a grain offering, they were given the sacrifice grain, and they were also given food grain. But the grain that was, or the stuff that was sacrificed to Yehovah, was never consumed, because that would be.
That's what I was.
That would be defiling sacrifice. Yes. So it was a real sacrifice. I mean, they really lost a lot. Of course, fortunately, I mean, they were growing, they were prospering, so they had a lot of other cattle.
Sure.
But this was the very best cattle they have. Normally, a farmer wants to keep the very best parts of his crop and his animals for future breeding, because that will make the future generations bigger and stronger. But in this case, they're taking the cream of the crop to the temple sacrifice.
Okay.
Otherwise, it wouldn't be much of a sacrifice. You know,
Correct.
if you're sacrificing something that nobody would even want to purchase in the market, well, you're not really sacrificing anything. You haven't lost anything, and you're not making a commitment.
Correct. Okay.
Eliab, the son of Helon, prince of the children of Zebulun, did offer. His offering was 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour, mingled with oil for a meat offering. 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a
clarification.
sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace.
Yes.
So one of the things that's very confusing about the English translation, they're almost literally translating it, but the thing is that the Hebrew word for meat, it's not animal meat. It means food, real food, as opposed to snacks, desserts, things like that. We're talking real food. That's what the word meat means. And when they translated it into English, at that time, the word meat meant food. It did not mean animal flesh. It just meant anything that you were using. So that's why you have a grain meat offering, which sounds like a contradiction. That's why you need it.
They describe the oil mixed with the flour being meat.
Hi. Yes. Well, in other words, they're not. This is why we need modern English translations.
Sure.
So it wasn't just beef and lambs and mutton and things that they were offering. They were offering, especially in Jerusalem, they were also offering pigeons and other birds. But whatever people had or could afford,
Okay.
Offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Eliab, the son of Helon. On the 4th day, Eliezer, the son of Shedeur, prince of the children of Reuben, did offer. His offering was 1 silver charger of the weight of 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour, mingled with oil for a meat offering. 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Eliezer, the son of Shedeur. On the 5th day, Shelumiel, the son of Zurishaddai, prince of the children of Simeon, did offer. His offering was 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering. 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Shelumiel, the son of Zurishaddai. On the 6th day, Eliasaph, the son of Duel, prince of the children of Gad, offered. His offering was 1 silver charger of the weight of 130 shekels, a silver bowl of 70 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering. 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Eliasaph, the son of Duel. On the 7th day, Elishama, the son of Ammihud, prince of the children of Ephraim, offered. His offering was 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil, for a meat offering. 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Elishama, the son of Ammihud. On the 8th day offered Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur, prince of the children of Manasseh. His offering was 1 silver charger of the weight of 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur. On the 9th day, Abidan, the son of Gideoni, prince of the children of Benjamin, offered. His offering was 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Abidan, the son of Gideoni. On the 10th day, Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai, prince of the children of Dan, offered. His offering was 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai. On the 11th day, Pagiel, the son of Ochran, prince of the children of Asher, offered. His offering was 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Pagiel, the son of Ochran. On the 12th day, Ahira, the son of Enan, prince of the children of Naphtali, offered. His offering was 1 silver charger, the weight whereof was 130 shekels, 1 silver bowl of 70 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary, both of them full of fine flour mingled with oil for a meat offering, 1 golden spoon of 10 shekels, full of incense, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, 1 lamb of the first year for a burnt offering, 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering, and for a sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, 5 lambs of the first year. This was the offering of Ahira, the son of Enan. This was the dedication of the altar in the day when it was anointed by the princes of Israel. 12 chargers of silver, 12 silver bowls, 12 spoons of gold, each charger of silver weighing 130 shekels, each bowl 70. All the silver vessels weighed 2,400 shekels, after the shekel of the sanctuary. The golden spoons were 12, full of incense, weighing 10 shekels apiece, after the shekel of the sanctuary. All the gold of the spoons was 120 shekels. All the oxen for the burnt offering were 12 bullocks, the rams 12, the lambs of the first year 12, with their meat offering, and the kids of the goats for sin offering 12. and all the oxen for the sacrifice of the peace offerings were 24 bullocks, the rams 60, the he-goats 60, the lambs of the first year 60. This was the dedication of the altar, after that it was anointed. And when Moses was gone into the tabernacle of the congregation to speak with him, then he heard the voice of one speaking unto him from off the mercy seat that was upon the ark of testimony, from between the two cherubims. And he spake unto him.
Now he's talking about the Ark of the Covenant, right?
Yes, and before we get on to that, what all this was about that we've just been listening to was when they were putting together the first temple. There, obviously, if you've been listening, the shekel is not a coin as we think of it. It's actually just a weight, like we measure in pounds, ounces, and grams. The reason they were bringing all these silver and gold items, which they brought from Egypt when they basically pillaged Egypt on their way out, this was to establish the new temple. These were all used in the temple by the temple for everything that they needed to use for. It's interesting to note that silver is an antibiotic, an antiviral. The reason why royalty would drink from a silver chalice and eat off of silver plates and use silverware was because it kept them from getting sick back when they didn't have antibiotics. And of course, gold. Yeah, and of course, gold never tarnishes. It lasts forever. But they needed to melt much of this down in order to make some of the things that were used in the temple for the temple services. And that's why they're giving that weight in shekels. Now, they also, after this, the temple started minting a coin called the half shekel because it was half of a shekel. And this coin has the temple mark on it, and it is only to be used for temple offerings. Those coins are still made to this day. You can buy those today. Yeah, but they are for the temple or in the temple. The last half shekel, the last batch of half shekels that they printed had two busts on them, the faces of King Cyrus, who authorized and helped them build the first temple, and King Trump, who moved the American embassy to Jerusalem.
I see.
Because Trump has everything that Trump has done for Israel is a exact same thing that Cyrus did back then. And they saw him as a prophetic figure in their own prophecies. They saw that there would be another King Cyrus that would help Israel at the end times.
Okay.
Now, moving on. Yeah, now moving on, the next thing that they're going to talk about is
let's see, chapter 8 is by the setting apart of the Levites.
okay. Well, they had already done that at Bethlehem. I'm sorry, not at Bethlehem, at Nazareth. But they the Levites were where they had been taking the firstborn son of each family and dedicating them to the priest class. They then coalesced this into the tribe of Levi, the sons of Levi.
Okay.
The name is nowadays the name is pronounced, the name is pronounced Levi, Levy, Levy. And in fact, I used to have a friend and colleague named Levy.
Really?
Back around 1980 something. No, 1985, I think. Of course, he never knew his heritage.
Okay. let's go ahead and continue then.
Okay, and I'm going to take a
Verse
quick break.
chapter 8. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and say unto him, When thou lightest the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light over against the candlestick. And Aaron did so, he lighted the lamps thereof over against the candlestick, as the Lord commanded Moses. And this work of the candlestick was of beaten gold, unto the shaft thereof, unto the flowers thereof, was beaten work. According to the pattern which the Lord had showed Moses, so he made the candlestick. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Take the Levites from among the children of Israel, and cleanse them. And thus shalt thou do unto them, to cleanse them. Sprinkle water of purifying upon them, and let them shave all their flesh, and let them wash their clothes, and so make themselves clean. And let them take a young bullock with his meat offering, even fine flour mingled with oil, and another young bullock shalt thou take for a sin offering. And thou shalt bring the Levites before the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt gather the whole assembly of the children of Israel together. And thou shalt bring the Levites before the Lord, and the children of Israel shall put their hands upon the Levites. And Aaron shall offer the Levites before the Lord for an offering of the children of Israel, that they may execute the service of the Lord. And the Levites shall lay their hands upon the heads of the bullocks, and thou shalt offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering unto the Lord, to make an atonement for the Levites. And thou shalt set the Levites before Aaron and before his sons, and offer them for an offering unto the Lord. Thus shalt thou separate the Levites from among the children of Israel, and the Levites shall be mine. And after that shall the Levites go in to do the service of the tabernacle of the congregation, and thou shalt cleanse them, and offer them for an offering. For they are wholly given unto me from among the children of Israel. Instead of such as open every womb, even instead of the firstborn of all the children of Israel, have I taken them unto me. For all the firstborn of the children of Israel are mine, both man and beast. On the day that I smote every firstborn in the land of Egypt, I sanctified them for myself. And I have taken the Levites for all the firstborn of the children of Israel. And I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and to his sons from among the children of Israel, to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation, and to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel when the children of Israel come nigh unto the sanctuary. And Moses and Aaron and all the congregation of the children of Israel did to the Levites according unto all that the Lord commanded Moses concerning the Levites. So did the children of Israel unto them. And the Levites were purified, and they washed their clothes, and Aaron offered them as an offering before the Lord. And Aaron made an atonement for them, to cleanse them. And after that went the Levites in to do their service in the tabernacle of the congregation before Aaron and before his sons, as the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites. So did they unto them. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, This is it that belongeth unto the Levites. From 25 years old and upward, they shall go in to wait upon the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. And from the age of 50 years they shall cease waiting upon the service thereof, and shall serve no more, but shall minister with their brethren in the tabernacle of the congregation to keep the charge, and shall do no service. Thus shalt thou do unto the Levites, touching their charge. Numbers chapter 9. And the Lord spake unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the first month of the 2nd year after they were come out of the land of Egypt, saying, Let the children of Israel also keep the Passover at his appointed season. In the 14th day of this month at even, ye shall keep it in his appointed season, according to all the rites of it, and according to all the ceremonies thereof shall ye keep it. And Moses spake unto the children of Israel, that they should keep the Passover. And they kept the Passover on the 14th day of the first month at even in the wilderness of Sinai, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So did the children of Israel. And there were certain men who were defiled by the dead body of a man, that they could not keep the Passover on that day. And they came before Moses and before Aaron on that day. And those men said unto him, We are defiled by the dead body of a man. Wherefore are we kept back, that we may not offer an offering of the Lord in his appointed season among the children of Israel? And Moses said unto them, Stand still, and I will hear what the Lord will command concerning you. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, If any man of you or of your posterity shall be unclean by reason of a dead body, or be in a journey afar off, yet he shall keep the Passover unto the Lord. The 14th day of the second month at even they shall keep it, and eat it with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. They shall leave none of it unto the morning, nor break any bone of it. According to all the ordinances of the Passover, they shall keep it. But the man that is clean, and is not in a journey, and forbeareth to keep the Passover, even the same soul shall be cut off from among his people, because he brought not the offering of the Lord in his appointed season. That man shall bear his sin. And if a stranger shall sojourn among you, and will keep the Passover unto the Lord, according to the ordinance of the Passover, and according to the manner thereof, so shall he do. He shall have one ordinance both for the stranger and for him that was born in the land. And on the day that the tabernacle was reared up, the cloud covered the tabernacle, namely the tent of the testimony. And at even there was upon the tabernacle as it were the appearance of fire until the morning. So it was alway. The cloud covered it by day, and the appearance of fire by night. And when the cloud was taken up from the tabernacle, then after that the children of Israel journeyed. And in the place where the cloud abode, there the children of Israel pitched their tents.
So let me clarify
Lord, the children of Israel journeyed.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so backing up just a little bit there. First thing he was saying is that the Passover, although the Passover is only convocation, that means the gathering of people in one big celebration. They are not required to be ritually pure at that. It was the most important thing was to have fellowship with everyone in celebrating a Passover. The second thing is that part of the Passover ritual is that you eat certain herbs or certain foods in a specific sequence while retelling the story of the Passover. A part of that is the eating of the bitter herbs, which is the bitterness that they suffered when they were slaves, and then that is followed by something sweet. It's a honey thing, which it celebrates the sweetness of freedom. Something they didn't really have a proper concept of yet, and in fact, they ended up having to wander for 40 years until the entire Egyptian generation had died out because they never really could fully embrace the commandments, which those commandments largely were for them to learn to live free. They weren't just things not to do because they're bad. It was because they now had to live independently as sovereigns, as individual sovereigns, like a king. That's what made America different from all other countries, was the invention of the citizen sovereign, the idea that a man's home was his castle. That's what that has been as thoroughly violated now as they can figure out how to do. I had a British roommate once who really could not comprehend this. She just laughed and says, "You have no idea what you're talking about, sovereigns. Only the queen can be sovereign." Well, she just couldn't understand that a man is law unto himself when he is within his home, and that the government has no business. Yeah,
Right.
as long as you're not hurting anybody, you're
Correct.
or breaking somebody else's property. What you do in your home is your own business, and the government has no business in it. And the children of Hebrew had to be taught this, but they didn't learn it very successfully. The next thing is on the cedar plate, which is the Passover meal. That's a ritual. It's a very small meal, and people are starving, and they really want to get on with it. But nevertheless, they have to eat each of these little things symbolically, and one of them is the lamb. The lamb has to be on a bone. The bone must be not broken. They, of course, had no idea this was about. And what it was about was the prophecy, which came to pass at Yeshua's execution. That it was normal for in crucifixion. After a few days, after they had suffered enough, they would break the legs of the prisoners in order to make them die quickly. This was coming up on a high holy day, and it was not Friday night. It was much earlier in the week. It was because it was Passover. The priests told the Romans that they had to have him dead and in the ground before the sun went down on that Sabbath, because otherwise they would be defiled by having a body. Well, there wasn't time for him to die of suffocation from having shin bones broken. So he was the only prisoner. He was the only. He was the only one in the history of crucifixion to not have his legs broken and thus die that way. So the prophecy, yes. So right. So the prophecy. One of the things that the prophecy said was that they would not break his legs, and then they would penetrate his side.
Okay.
So in the Passover Seder meal, they do not break the lamb bone. Now, this was a temple ritual, which you were required to be at the temple for this ritual every year. Well, when the temple was destroyed, there was no longer a way of performing this ritual lawfully. They could not perform it lawfully. They could not perform these sacrifices lawfully. Wow. But they honored the to this day they have honored the Passover Seder by performing the Seder, except that when they get to the lamb bone, it is broken, to show that this is not actual real Passover meal.
Okay.
They are looking forward to the day when they can rebuild the temple and once more perform the ritual properly. But until then, they break the lamb bone to prove that this is not a violation of the law, because they're not, they can't perform the law because they don't have a temple to perform it in. But they are not violating that law by the fact that they are eating this lamb with a broken bone.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah.
Let's continue.
And at the commandment of the Lord they pitched. As long as the cloud abode upon the tabernacle, they rested in their tents. And when the cloud tarried long upon the tabernacle many days, then the children of Israel kept the charge of the Lord, and journeyed not. And so it was, when the cloud was a few days upon the tabernacle, according to the commandment of the Lord they abode in their tents, and according to the commandment of the Lord they journeyed. And so it was, when the cloud abode from even unto the morning, and that the cloud was taken up in the morning, then they journeyed. Whether it was by day or by night that the cloud was taken up, they journeyed. Or whether it were 2 days, or a month, or a year, that the cloud tarried upon the tabernacle, remaining thereon, the children of Israel abode in their tents, and journeyed not. But when it was taken up, they journeyed. At the commandment of the Lord, they rested in the tents. At the commandment of the Lord, they journeyed. They kept the charge of the Lord at the commandment of the Lord by the hand of Moses. Numbers chapter 10. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Make thee 2 trumpets of silver, of a whole piece shalt thou make them, that thou mayest use them for the call of the assembly, and for the journeying of the camps. And when they shall blow with them all the assembly shall
In
assemble
on
themselves
earth,
to thee
but
at
it's
the
only
door
got
of the
30
tabernacle of the congregation.
There's no way to
And if
recharge
they
it.
blow but with one trumpet, then the princes which are heads of the thousands of Israel shall gather themselves unto thee. When he blow an alarm, then the camps that lie on the east parts shall go forward. When he blow an alarm the second time, then the camps that lie on the south side shall take their journey. They shall blow an alarm for their journeys. But when the congregation is to be gathered together, ye shall blow, but ye shall not sound an alarm. And the sons of Aaron the priests shall blow with the trumpets, and they shall be to you for an ordinance forever throughout your generations. And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresseth you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpets, and ye shall be remembered before the Lord your God, and ye shall be saved from your enemies. Also in the day of your gladness, and in your solemn days, and in the beginnings of your months, ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings, and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God. And it came to pass, on the 20th day of the second month, in the second year, that the cloud was taken up from off the tabernacle of the testimony. And the children of Israel took their journeyings out of the wilderness of Sinai. And the cloud rested in the wilderness of Paran. And they first took their journey according to the commandment of the Lord by the hand of Moses. In the first place went the standard of the camp of the children of Judah according to their armies. And over his host was Nahshon, the son of Amminadab. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Issachar was Nethaneel, the son of Zuar. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Zebulun was Eliab, the son of Helon. And the tabernacle was taken down, and the sons of Gershon and the sons of Merari set forward, bearing the tabernacle. And the standard of the camp of Reuben set forward according to their armies, and over his host was Elizur, the son of Shedeur. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Simeon was Shelumiel, the son of Zurishaddai. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Gad was Eliasaph, the son of Duel. And the Kohathites set forward, bearing the sanctuary, and the other did set up the tabernacle against they came. And the standard of the camp of the children of Ephraim set forward according to their armies. And over his host was Elishama, the son of Ammihud. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Manasseh was Gamaliel, the son of Pedazur. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Benjamin was Abidan, the son of Gideoni. And the standard of the camp of the children of Dan set forward, which was the rearward of all the camps throughout their hosts. And over his host was Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Asher was Pagiel, the son of Ochran. And over the host of the tribe of the children of Naphtali was Ahira, the son of Enan. Thus were the journeyings of the children of Israel, according to their armies, when they set forward. And Moses said unto Hobab, the son of Raguel, the Midianite, Moses' father-in-law, We are journeying unto the place of which the Lord said, I will give it you. Come now with us, and we will do thee good, for the Lord hath spoken good concerning Israel. And he said unto him, I will not go, but I will depart to mine own land and to my kindred. And he said, Leave us not, I pray thee, forasmuch as thou knowest how we are to encamp in the wilderness, and thou mayest be to us instead of eyes. And it shall be, if thou go with us, yea, it shall be, that what goodness the Lord shall do unto us, the same will we do unto thee. And they departed from the mount of the Lord 3 days' journey. And the ark of the covenant of the Lord went before them in the 3 days' journey, to search out a resting place for them. And the cloud of the Lord was upon them by day, when they went out of the camp. And it came to pass, when the ark set forward, that Moses said, Rise up, Lord, and let thine enemies be scattered, and let them that hate thee flee before thee. And when it rested, he said, Return, O Lord, unto the many thousands of Israel. Numbers chapter 11. And when the people
Wow. It's just fascinating to to learn and to find out, to go through this and to study it, of just how intense, how precise these rituals to the Lord had to be.
Picky, picky, picky.
Right. Hi.
Hello.
Well, most of what we just heard was really nothing more than the strategic and tactical way in which they moved as a caravan through enemy territory.
On their
That's why
40
he keeps,
on their journey from Egypt.
not from Egypt, on their journey from Sinai to the Promised Land. Well, towards the Promised Land, which they didn't
Towards the
reach
promised
because they didn't reach
Okay.
because they just could not behave themselves. They just couldn't, stay within what they were supposed to do. So they ended up getting led around in a vast circle. But
Big old circle.
yes. Now the days they were marching every day except for Saturday, what we call Saturday, the seventh day, the Sabbath. They did not march.
Yes.
They did not march on the Sabbath. And so what Yehovah told them is, don't worry about your enemies. I will prevent them from attacking you on that day.
Correct.
But the rest of the time, they're talking about each tribe in terms of each tribe's army, because each tribe's army had to line up on both sides of the caravan, forming the outsides of the caravan in order to defend against attackers on all sides, from the front to the back.
Which I imagine happened quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And it got more and more as they were approaching
The promised land.
what do they call it? What was the promised land called? Canaan. It was named after the sons of Canaan. These were the people who were scattered from the Tower of Babel, and they did not repent. They could no longer function to build a society, but they did not repent, and they continued their human sacrifices and things. And this is, in fact, they were told in Egypt by a prophet that they were going to be rescued on time, but they could not leave Egypt until the Canaanites had filled their cup of iniquity, meaning until they had reached the peak of their sins, which was just a genocide. Because, and this is a large part of what so many people can't understand, especially Christians who are taking their cues from Jesus, that the Prince of Peace, that you simply don't do violence. They're pacifists, and they can't understand how Yehovah would have them slaughtered to the last man, woman, child, and animal. And we had covered that before. It was because they were genetically modified. That's why you had giants in the land, the Nephilim, the second or the new Nephilim. After the flood had wiped them out the first time, they were recreated after the flood, and spiritually they were what we now call Satanists. They were committing human sacrifice of the worst possible kind, causing the maximum suffering to the most innocent possible. And and the same was true of Sodom and Gomorrah. Those are only two of the 7 cities of that valley that they were as wicked as they knew how to be. And the reason they had to be destroyed was because they were in at the Tower of Babel. They were causing mankind to stop spreading across the world and filling it with people as they had been commanded to by Adam. And then they were also building the first world order, the original old world order, one world order, and the new world order today is really the old world order being reestablished. Babylon is being reestablished, and Mystery Babylon is what we heard about in Revelation. So in Babylon they were doing this. They had stopped the expansion. They were corrupting all humans, all human minds and spirits. So the only way to end it was to end the civilization itself.
Right.
And then the remnant from that ended up in Canaan, what was later called Canaan. I forget the name of the valley. And so they were continuing corruption of Babylon and spreading their corruption to the rest of the world, even the world that had escaped that, even the people who did not rebel against God at Babylon went out into the world. They carried their Hebrew language with them, and they were good people. And these people were going out into the world and corrupting them as well, bringing their culture. So again, the only way to get rid of them was to wipe every last one of them out. And the lifestyle was so horrific that even killing the children was an act of mercy to the children. It put an end to that and to being tortured to death and sacrificed. And it also stopped them from being corrupted any further. And then hopefully there were at least some of them that could still be saved because they were tuned to be held accountable for their actions and still teachable in the new heaven and new earth. They would still be teachable. And then but the Hebrews failed to live up to that. They could not. They were terrified of going into the land with giants, and so they didn't go in until the last of those elders were gone or no longer influencing the younger people, and the younger people were young and brave, as young people are.
Yeah.
And started learning to trust God.
Great.
So that we are is where they are now. They are heading towards the promised land, but not quite reaching it.
Not reaching it.
Yeah.
Having a harder and harder time getting there.
Well, they were not allowed to go there. In fact, Moses himself, Moshe, made a bad mistake. He was supposed to strike the first rock to release the water, and then much later on, they come to another rock. He's supposed to declare the rock, not strike it. And he struck the rock. They got their water, but then Moses was not allowed to enter the promised land. And in fact, his life ended right there. He went to the top of a mountain and he watched. He was able to see the promised land. He was able to enter the promised land, and then he died there.
I see.
Yeah. Now, the reason why he was supposed to strike the rock the first time and declare the rock the second time is because the rock represented Yeshua or Jesus. The first time he came, he was struck. He was executed.
Yes.
The second time he comes in the near future, he is declared the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He is not struck. He comes as a conqueror, not as the suffering servant.
I see.
Yeah. So by failing to carry out that ritual, which he didn't understand, he accidentally broke what is called the archetype. It's a way of he was supposed to essentially be creating he was in the process of creating a pattern that would be repeated 3 times. First, at his time, from when they leave Egypt. Second time, when Yeshua arrives as the suffering servant. And then the third time, when he comes back again as the conqueror.
I see.
And because he broke that, we didn't have that in our prophecies to look on, except that because we know now, we can go back and say that was what he was supposed to do, and it would have completed that. So it was part of.
I learned something new.
Yeah.
and all this, I like you said, I've said before, I've read through it, but just my young mind reading through something, but not having the guidance and the teaching, are two different things. There's a lot that I'm learning just by going through it
Yeah.
again, and actually having you here with me, and you become uh, a teacher almost to me. Because I'm learning a lot more that I didn't realize. I didn't realize that I, you know, didn't have the knowledge of, and the where Moses died and the mistake that he made, which you
Yeah.
just taught me. But well, we will continue again this tomorrow. If you will be able to join me.
I'll sure try. I'm a little bit challenged at the moment because I promised the kids that I would take them to the park. I managed to do that for about 2 hours today, um, but we were running late. And tomorrow, I will have to borrow a different vehicle because my own vehicle died some time ago. And
Oh yeah,
well, in fact,
I'm sorry
we've
to hear
had
that.
several vehicle failures. Yeah, I've had several vehicle failures. I managed to bring the van back to life for a little while longer,
Okay,
but that's going to be used tomorrow by their father, who has some business in Santa Rosa. So I have to borrow another roommate's car.
I see.
I don't think that's going to be a problem, but yeah, it's
Well, if you can make it tomorrow, you're more than welcome, and it's a blessing having you here. And your family is your main priority, so you concentrate on that. And yes, again, thank you for being here with me today and helping me with this reading and helping us better understand what's going on with the children of Israel, or the children of God at this time in the Bible, and what they're
yeah.
going through, and you know their rituals, and what they've had to endure up until this point. So again, thank you, Mystic, for joining us and being here with us, and I hope to see you tomorrow.
Thank you for hosting me. No one else has done that.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, and because I enjoy having you on the show, and you become a big plus and a big bonus to the show, as far as helping me and helping my viewers to better understand what is going on in the good book. And we will continue our journey tomorrow, and I hope to see you
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. And with that, we'll go ahead, and I want to thank everybody who's come in and out and come in and viewed us for a while. We've had 12 viewers. Um, Nobody come into the chat box, but that's okay. As long as I see it this way, you know, people don't need to really come and stay. They can come and check us out, and if they wish to stay, all the better for it. But my main purpose and my main goal is just to get the message of God out, the story, the word, and you're helping me do that. And and for it to be feeding for our spiritual souls, our spiritual bodies for the time. So we'll be more prepared. We'll be prepared. We can make a better decision to be prepared for the return of Yeshua, Jesus
A
Christ,
different kind of
our
prepping.
Lord. Yes. So with that, if you don't mind, bowing our heads and we'll close in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord Jesus Christ, we come to you and we thank you for this day, and we thank you for this time that we can meet up and congregate and share your word, read through your word, and learn what the sons of God at this time had to go through. Help us better understand, and I want to thank you for our friend Mystic 22222 to help me better understand and help guide us through this word, your word. I pray that it was feeding for our spiritual bodies and our spiritual soul, our souls and our minds and our physical bodies. I pray that we can continue doing this as long as possible, and we will do this as long as possible, because I feel it's so important for us to get this word out, as many others have and many others are doing. I just want to be another part of that. And again, having Mystic here is a blessing. And I want to thank you for him. And I want to pray for him. Pray that he can get his vehicle tomorrow, his roommate's vehicle, and be able to take his grandchildren to the park and fulfill his duties there at home. And that he can come back to us tomorrow and help us fulfill this duty here. So again, Lord Jesus Christ, I want to thank you for this time that we got to share. Thank you for the love that you have for all of us. Your sacrifice your ultimate sacrifice that has freed our spirits. For those who have chosen you. And I pray that this word gets out to others to be able to make that decision on their own, to open their hearts to you, to invite you into their life, to save as many as possible. So again, Lord Jesus Christ, we love you, we honor you, and we cherish you. In your precious name, in the name of Jesus Christ, we pray this. Amen.
Amen.
I know I'm not the best prayer, or I try.
It's your sincerity
I
that counts.
I try to be as sincere as possible, especially through my prayer. I let God lead me through that, and you know I ask him to help me with my speaking and my prayer all the time. Because he knows I need it. And the rest of the world is learning that I need it. So again, Mystic, thank you again so much for being here. And we hope to see you tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, buddy. You have a good night. And we're going to end this here.
Okay.
All right, man.
Good night, all.
Talk to you tomorrow. All right. Good night. Good night. And thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for being here and sharing this with us. This is Bryan from our Ranch AGFC. This electronic church is closing its door for today. But again, God bless you. Y'all know the rest.